Have you ever thought how being religious, spiritual, or believing in God improve your chances to succeed in life, or the other way around? How does it affect whether you become a good person or a bad person, or would you be prone to do this and that? But not from personal point of view, not like I know a guy who was religious and then this happened to him, but more in a statistical way, with data backing up your assumptions. The conclusion I came up to is that being religious in most cases does not really correlate or does not really cause anything. And before you jump to conclusions, let me explain my line of thinking. A few years ago, back in my home city, I was at a lecture by one of our university professors who was speaking about his discoveries about the first gods in our region, in Perm region where I'm from. The discoveries that he had were all speaking about the same pattern that was recognized amongst all the religions throughout our entire planet. And the template was as follows. When first people who were, comparing to us, quite unprotected, unsafe, who lived very short lives and who did not understand how the world works, were always in danger. They were already intellectually more or less at the same level as we were, so they were able to understand that there is a basis for everything, and that certain actions lead to certain results. And what they could not explain, but what they could understand is, for example, weather. They had no idea why is it raining one day, why is it storm one day, and the other way it is sunny. They did not know why it was cold one day and the other way it was drought, or anything like that. So the weather was this unpredictable thing, and also many kind of natural disasters or any kind of natural causes for concerns. So people did not know how to explain that. Obviously, all human societies tend to form this hierarchy with one person at the top who has to be, in most cases, responsible and who has to say the last word in many situations. So when these groups formed, usually people were asking the, let's say, the main person who was at the head of the hierarchy, what causing this, or at least how could we fix that? So that's just the normal way of early societies to function. And what the discoveries again found is that amongst all religions there was one template, which is that humans try to put a face on something that caused everything in the world, everything that they could not explain. For example, if they saw rain one day and the other way it was not, they thought that there was something with human characteristics that was responsible for this. They thought that there is a chain of events leading to this, where there was always something that was applying the same logic as humans did to give a reward or to punish people for what they do. They always had some kind of creature or creatures that had supernatural powers, but they had, let's say, a human face or a human-like behavior type of living, type of decision making. The reason they wanted to do that is they wanted to have some kind of explanations to give to other people about what is happening and why things happen when they could not explain it. That is why they had all these kinds of sacrifices, saying that we should give 100 lambs so the next time this god or this creature would be more prone to give us better whatever, because they thought that there was a human-like something that accepted this gift and could change their life in the way they wanted it to change it. Obviously, years has passed. Technology has developed, and what is also important, science has also made many steps ahead. Now we know why certain kinds of disasters form, more or less, at least what causes them. We know why there are droughts and why there are rains. We know why sometimes it's cold and sometimes it's hot. We can more or less predict that. Sometimes we cannot predict it very precisely, but we definitely know the cause for almost anything that happens within the nature, within the weather on our planet. So at the moment, we do not need somebody at the top hierarchy to give us answers to simple questions like, is it going to be rainy next summer? Or is it going to be drought next summer? Or what can we do to not make it happen again? Those are the questions that we do not need to ask somebody anymore, because we know the answers. Thanks to science, technology, and all kinds of developments in progress. And in my personal opinion, at the moment, religions all over the world are still kind of pretending that that people still need some leaders to tell them what to do when they do not know how to explain stuff. And it might be correct in many cases, but in this particular year or in our century, by just being a reasonable person, you can see that following certain standards or procedures within a certain religion is not statistically giving you advantages in anything else, but within your own perception of how you should behave. So what I'm trying to say that religion communities does not affect humans' lives as they used to before. Obviously, if your country has clear separation of church and state, churches cannot affect decision-making process of politicians and the government, then the situation that I am talking about is applicable. So, as a more or less reasonable person in almost any country, you see that praying, for example, or doing all the religious rituals is not leading to something that will affect your life, neither in good or bad way. So you see that if you pray, then you do not see immediate results of this. Maybe you feel better, that's true. Maybe being spiritual does give you more endorphins or does make you feel better, or maybe it helps you being a better person. That obviously can happen, and obviously will happen for many people. But at the same time, statistically wise, you do not see that, let's say, people who go to church systematically do better at school or better at careers. They also do not do worse at schools or at careers or in anything. Because, again, in my opinion, all the spiritual things that you do, they do not affect your life statistically at all. So far, I have never heard of any studies that would say, for example, that religious people would be more prone to continue sentencing the way you want. If it's not about religion itself, most likely it will not affect anything else in your life. At some point, I guess subconsciously a lot of people understand that things that do not have meaningful impact in your life are basically not worth spending time on. You might obviously argue that, for example, if you go to a church and you donate money to a church can help communities, can build something, or can redistribute resources for the poor, or many other good things. But at the same time, could they do that without the money that people donate to them? Probably not, because churches need to survive. For people who are working there, they need to have some kind of salaries or reimbursement, but basically money to exist and to do what they do. And in comparison, if you, let's say, donate to a non-profit that specifically works to solve certain problems, most likely they would operate more efficiently, simply because they also do not pay taxes for that, because it's non-profits, kind of. And at the same time, they are not spending money on praying or on other procedural stuff. They just do what they are supposed to do. Let's say redistribute resources, build something, or whatever. And most likely they also operate more efficiently, simply because people who are brought to these non-profits are also people who are maybe good at what they do, and if they are not, they are not taken to this community of non-profit who works on certain solutions. To sum up, if you are not living in a religious community, in a very tight one where it's all intertwined with your day-to-day activities and with your life and your social circles, if you're just spiritual person who can or cannot go to church, nobody is forcing you, most likely you would see that going to church, praying, or doing other spiritual activities will not affect your life in any way. I do not want to offend anyone, and if I did, probably I will be sorry. But if you disagree, let me know. I am completely open to discussions. And thank you for your attention. In case you're still watching this video, I just wanted to give a brief update on why there were no videos. First of all, I was a little bit busy. I had to change job recently, and lots of things were happening, so that's why this channel was put on hold. I also made this video, as far as you can see, unscripted, simply because writing scripts and doing good videos, in my personal opinion, takes a lot of time, and the outcome that I receive is mostly good, but at the same time not really that worth it, I would say. So what I want to do now is maybe try to do this easy to prepare videos, just speaking to a camera without script, and seeing how that goes, because at least it's one shot, it's very easy to produce, and do not need to prepare a lot to do so. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you next time.